In this video, I'll show you a simple way to make a chi-square distribution table in Excel that helps you with certain statistical tests, enabling you to easily determine critical values and p-values for chi-square tests of independence, goodness of fit, and single variance. Let's start with the step-by-step process to create the chi-square distribution table. To do that, first open a spreadsheet in Excel. In step 1, create a header row for the specific probability values associated with the right tail of the chi-square distribution. These are the typical values of the significance levels used in the hypothesis testing. In step 2, create a header column for the degrees of freedom values. Degrees of freedom refer to the number of values in the final calculation of a statistic that are free to vary. In the context of chi-square tests, the degrees of freedom depend on the specific test being conducted. In step 3, in cell B2, use the Excel inbuilt function chi-square.inv.rt. For the probability argument, select the probability value from the header row and press the F4 button if using Windows, Command+T button if using the Mac, and select the degrees of freedom value from the header column. Now select this cell containing the formula and drag it to the right to fill out the remaining values. Now for each other cell in this row, go to the formula bar and correct the position of the probability and the degrees of freedom values. These probabilities correspond to the area under the curve to the right of the critical value for a given degrees of freedom. In other words, they indicate the likelihood of obtaining a chi-square test statistic as extreme as or more extreme than the critical value, assuming the null hypothesis is true. By selecting a specific probability value, you can find the corresponding critical value in the table for a given degrees of freedom. This critical value is then used to determine whether to reject or fail to reject the null hypothesis in a chi-square test. In step 4, select the entire row and drag it down to the bottom to autofill the remaining values. The chi-square distribution table is obtained.